Up across the 15, cuts left at the 20, on the roof at the 30, headed to the near sideline, one man to beat, makes the move at midfield, coming to the near side at the 30, he's at the 20, he's at the 10, 5, touchdown, Kentucky!
Back in here for an episode of Believe in Kentucky. My name is Vinny Hardy. We got Aaron Gershon from the Cat's Paws and AG, man. You refreshed from the vacay, and we got a guest in here with us as well, man.
Yeah, man. Excited for sure. Going back on the road to Dallas for SEC Media Days next week. So good to get a little bit of a break this week. Got some players from this year's basketball team talking tomorrow, but we'll do some nostalgia stuff tonight with TBT starting and a lot of fan favorites coming back to play at Rupp in a week and a half here.
We got the assistant GM.
Not even a week and a half.
Yeah, assistant GM for La Familia. Talking about TBT a week from Friday in Rupp. We got former Cat national champ Sam Malone in here with us, man. Sam, appreciate you joining us. Nice to meet you, and thanks for taking the time, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on. It's an exciting time right now, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
So, man, for those who might not have, know is sneaking right up on us, it's a week and a half away. You're the assistant GM. Just take us through the whole process of how it all got started for Kentucky to put a team in the TBT and in your role in it. Just kind of take us through the whole journey so far, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved back to Lexington in October. I was in Boston. My family was in Boston before, and decided to move back in October. My wife's from here, and so we moved back to Lexington and started reconnecting with Twani, and then he just started telling me about the vision he had. Somebody approached him and said that they wanted him to lead a TBT team. And, at that point, I was just like, if there's anything you need me to do, let me know. And then I just helped him out with some marketing stuff on the side and started just slowly helping the team. And then at one point he was like, you know what, I want you to be my assistant GM, which was awesome for me because I'm not in basketball anymore, but now this is something for me that is just like so exciting to reconnect with all my other teammates. And so when he asked me to come on, I was like, yeah, for sure. And then, I definitely helped them out getting some of these newer commitments, let's say in the last 2 months. There were some guys that I played with in college that he didn't play with because, we just overlapped for 2 years. So I think it's been great to be assistant GM. He's great to work with. And we're excited about this. The team has shaped up perfectly, and it's going to be an awesome, 10, 20 days coming up.
Yeah, go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, talk about, you mentioned that the last 2 months you've played a big role in getting some of the guys you played with. Just talk about kind of what your pitch to those guys has been, if any have given you a hard time. I know I was listening to John Wall, and he was saying how you guys have tried to get him. He wasn't budging. So have there been any of those fun ones where you're able to get a guy to maybe sign up a play they weren't going to, or just talk about that process?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew going in that we're not going to get every guy that we want. But the good thing is that there's so many guys out there, maybe are off at the time from the NBA or in between years in the NBA and trying to get back in or playing in Europe. There was just tons of guys that we went at, but the people that we really were able to get on the phone and say, hey, sit down with us for 15 minutes and just hear us out. By the end of the call, they were like, thank you so much for reaching out about this. Like, this is awesome. Even the guys that we did get on the phone that didn't commit were the same way though. It's just a lot of it's scheduling with some of these guys and different playing basketball in different countries and all that. But the pitch was really, come back to Lexington. We're going to put you up in the nicest hotel at the Manchester. We're going to have luxury transportation. We're going to have meals for you all week. And then the part that we didn't really have to pitch was them being able to reconnect with fans and kind of go through this experience one more time. I mean, that's really the most important thing with these guys is beyond just the accommodations and the money. Just once you kind of some of them we had to paint that picture a little bit for them, but they picked it up right away. Like, okay, I get it. We're going to be able to be back in Lexington with Kentucky fans, and it's not something we ever thought we'd be able to experience again. So why not jump on?
Man, that is awesome. So, how would you rate yourself as a recruiter? Sound like you're pretty good, man.
I think I got everyone I wanted.
Closing.
Yeah. But it is an easy sell. It really is an easy sell. But yeah, I'm excited. Like, I'm picking up some of these guys at the airport on Friday and haven't seen them in several years. So just stuff like that makes it completely worthwhile, you know?
Absolutely. So how did it work out? I mean, the excitement of Mark Pope, we'll talk about that a little bit later, get your thoughts on that. But Big Blue Nation was getting addicted to seeing, Cody Figure in the booms and additions to the roster. We had to kind of juggle because you guys were putting a roster together as well. And we would see the La Familia tweet out, oh, hey, James Young, oh, Andrew Harrison, oh, Aaron Harrison, Willie Cauley-Stein. The latest is Karam Cantor. How did that come about with him joining the team today?
20 was a teammate with kind of a teammate with Ennis when Ennis was here for a year. And so he reached out, and Ennis was like, I haven't played basketball in 3 years. He's like, well, my brother is an absolute beast. And that was at a position where we could use some depth. And we thought, you know what, he wasn't a Kentucky alumni, but most of these other alumni teams aren't 100%. I think the rule is you have to have, I think, more than 8 to be considered an alumni team, or 7. So, and it was kind of a cool story at the same time. Like, Ennis really wanted to play here, didn't get the chance. Now his brother gets to play here. And it's extended La Familia. So it worked out. It still fits the mold. And I think people are going to be really surprised by him. I mean, he's a beast. He played in TBT last year and had great numbers. So to get a guy like that who's done it before, it's going to be good.
Yeah. And, a lefty as well. I saw a little bit of the clip, but just give us a little bit of the scouting report of what everybody's going to get.
So his back to the basket game is kind of like Ennis, very polished, very just uses his shoulders, and he's not really going to be dunking on anyone, just kind of Jokic in that way. But he can also step out and put the ball on the floor and drive, and he's just got that European style game that really usually fits well into any team.
Go ahead, AG.
Yeah, I wanted to get into, I think one of the fears the fan base had when this whole transition, with the current team, with the coaching with Calipari and Mark Pope had, would be kind of how the former players that played for Cal kind of perceived Big Blue Nation, and kind of, how were they going to be Cal guys? Were they going to be Big Blue Nation? Was it going to be separated? Whatever. But just the fact, all these guys who most of whom played, or all of whom played for Cal, are wanting to come back and play here, like you said, that being such a sales pitch. Just what do you think this kind of means just for all of Big Blue Nation, that it's a bunch of guys that maybe the fan base feared would almost kind of forget about them, or they're wanting to come back and play here. They don't necessarily care they care, but not necessarily, it's not a big deal to them that the head coaching change has been made. They still want to come back and play for this school in the state.
Yeah, I think that what we're doing is playing an important role in connecting these two generations, because that was always a fear of mine. Like, when Cal leaves, what's going to happen to kind of the legacy of all these guys in the NBA? So getting these two to connect, I think, these two eras to connect is huge. And I know there's fans out there that probably didn't like the name, or didn't kind of just the fans that are pessimistic about things. But as time passes, this Cal legacy is just going to be remembered as something. And a lot of the guys that are on our team went to Final Fours, won national titles. So, I think that they should be celebrated, and the fans should really even appreciate them even more as kind of a a going out type thing for the Cal era, and but also connecting it with Pope's era, because Pope needs to keep that connection with these guys as well. It's important for the program, so we take that role very seriously, in that we are connecting these two different eras. And it's great for Pope because they're not playing overseas this summer or anything, or in Canada, or
Right.
Bahamas or anything like that. And it's great and he still wants these guys coming to the games. Of course, it helps everybody. And then I think Cal loves it as well, because it's kind of a way for his legacy at Kentucky to be remembered.
Absolutely. So I mean, we're gonna find out soon, with games kicking off on the 19th, the scrimmage against Pope coming on the 17th. First of all, is that gonna be streamed somewhere on Kentucky Twitter, LaFamilia Twitter, or anything? The fan base is dying to
Yeah.
find out.
So I don't, because this is a UK athletics thing that they're setting up, we're just kind of going with what they do. And they've been pretty tight-lipped about it. There will be, a practice and scrimmage, most likely with the team. But I can't really talk up too much about it, just because it's, yeah.
G14 classified. We got you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'd love to talk about it, but I'm sure you'll hear about it after. And we will be practicing with them early in the week, and we're excited.
So, with you and Tawny working together, GM, assistant GM, and Tyler coming in as the coach, is there, y'all's vision for a style of play? We know everybody's games, but the type of style that you guys are going to play, can people look for?
We've talked to some other people that have coached in TBT, but and kind of got a feel for what works and stuff like that. It's a very different game. But at the end of the day, Tawny and I are focusing on running this organization, making sure everything runs on time, and Tyler is going to do what Tyler's going to do, and that's totally up to him and the rest of the assistants. It's great we have Sean Woods on the staff as somebody who is experienced, and Tyler can kind of lean on, and then John Hood as well, and Darius Miller, and it's going to be awesome for Tyler, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do with it. I have some thoughts in my head about stuff we'll do, but it's 100% up to Tyler, and I'm excited to see. So I don't have too much kind of I wouldn't want to spill the beans either about how we're going to play. It's kind of like there's no scouting report of us playing together, and the team we're playing with played last year, so we have a little bit of advantage in that sense.
And you talked about with Pope and these Cal guys connecting generations. With Sean Woods on the staff, that connects even before Mark Pope. I mean, he was part of the '92 team under Rick Pitino, so that's even a further link back to the past, and it's just bringing it all together, man. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that definitely crossed our minds. I mean, we would ask him to be the assistant coach no matter what, but that's something that is really cool, and that's what this is all about, and that's what we want to make it all about.
Obviously, all the fans only really care about this team, but talk about some of the teams that are going to be coming here to Lexington, and what challenges they present, and also just like what names might Kentucky fans remember competing against that'll keep the nostalgia going. Obviously, there's going to be a ton of it with your team, but how about some of the other teams that are going to be coming here to Lexington that may ring a bell for some fans?
Yeah, so 305 Ballers, the team that we are playing against. I don't know much about them. I know a bit, but they're kind of a collection of overseas players, all professionals, I'm pretty sure. So it'll be interesting. And then the Herd, which is Marshall's team, they're in it. They've been in it a few years now, I think, and they've had some success. And then I'm not too sure about some of the other teams in there. And then the other thing is, of course, Louisville is in the region of us, which would just be incredible to have a Kentucky Louisville game at TBT. Hopefully at Rupp if we sell more tickets to them.
Yeah. It's, I'm sure that there's still time for us to pass them. They got a little lead right now, but I think we'll reel them in and pass them up.
Yeah, especially after the first game. When the highlights come out and stuff like that, and there'll be a lot of people that are like, "Wow, I didn't realize this was happening." And then as we start to play more games at Rupp, it'll start to be even more full.
You mentioned, of course, Big Blue Nation and everything about every player. So everybody knew you coming in from Boston. But from your perspective, coming in from Boston, what did you know about Kentucky? How much did you kind of like, wow, when you got kind of immersed into the fan base? And then your perspective of learning how serious the rivalry with Louisville was. So just kind of your thoughts on both of those.
Yeah, I mean, I had a relationship with Cal before. I'd been going to his camps forever, and when he was at Memphis, so I knew kind of how Cal was, but I didn't know. I knew Kentucky basketball was a big deal. I mean, one of my earliest memories, I was in the car with my uncle, and he had the NCAA tournament on. I must have been like 5 years old, and the Kentucky Wildcats have won the national championship. It was either 96 or 90 or 98, whatever. And that was one of my earliest basketball memories, was like hearing that on the radio. And so I knew it was a big deal. When I got down here, I mean, I think the camp out for Big Blue Madness was really when I was like, okay, this is something else. This is crazy. And I think that's when the camp out was probably, twice what it is now. I don't know if it's just different generation of kids, but it was crazy. So then, learning about the rivalry, I knew all about Cal and Pitino's rivalry. But I didn't realize how the fans hated us that much. I think our first game might have been the first year or second year. It was like a noon game, and this was when we would never play in any SEC arenas where alcohol was served, and we went to Louisville in like a noon game, and it was like the whole crowd was just so drunk, and we were like, oh, this is crazy. And it was loud, and I mean, I think it's one of the best rivalries in sports, like top 3 for sure.
It gets underrated. Everybody, Duke, North Carolina, and it's, I guess, the national darling. They kind of get more pub in basketball, but they play at least twice, possibly 3 times in the ACC tournament. So it's only one time for sure with Kentucky and Louisville, unless they meet in the big dance. So I think that makes it a little more unique because it's not a home and home every year. But I'm biased as well. There's people in Chapel Hill just fussing the same way that I am about, but that's just how it is, though. But
yeah, it would be. I mean, it's their group of their team that they have there with Siva and Russ Smith and Kyle Couric. They're a good team as well. I mean, that's gonna be crazy. They have guys that won big games on their team as well. So that'd be all time.
That's it. Does the tournament, is Elam ending in the basketball tournament TBT? Yeah. How do you feel about that? How do you?
It's gonna be different, kind of experiencing it. But I think it's pretty cool. You can't just get rid of the way it is now. I mean, the game's been around for so long, but in like a same way that like Live Golf will change up the rules a little bit, it just makes it a little different. I think it's entertaining. It's very entertaining. But I have heard that that's where a lot of teams lose, is that they don't prepare the right way to do that. And we're going to go over that a lot. And we've kind of trying to be trying to pick people's brains that have done it before, and but it's a huge factor. Put it that way. It's a huge factor in the outcome of games.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the support?
And I would say,
oh yeah,
an Aaron Harrison Elam ending shot would be perfect, like a walk off.
That would be the ultimate nostalgia right there. But what is you mentioned earlier how important it is for Mark Stoops. I'll do that a lot the next year. But Mark Pope to bridge the gap between the former players, the Cal era players, and obviously connecting these generations. But every time he's gotten in front of a mic, he has plugged your event, this team. I think, we'll see what you guys do when you can talk about with the current group. And it sounds like they're going to be out at Rep Arena as much as they can, if not the whole time. What has it meant to get that type of support, and what has it done for what you guys are expecting to see at Rep Arena from a crowd perspective?
It's been incredible, and that's been his MO since we stepped off the bus with him for his press conference at Rep Arena, and you can tell that he's a smart guy, because that's a smart thing to do. Not only is it great for the fan base, but to be able to practice with these guys, that have his players learn from our guys, keep the legacy intact. Kentucky is definitely something that's always, he knows is bigger than himself. And I think that he said and done all the right things as far as, keeping not just our players, but years going back 40 years ago involved with the program. So I think it's great. I think it's awesome. And he's been, if he's anything like a coach, that he is the way that he treats the former players, and he's going to be great.
You mentioned you were on there, right, with Tawny?
Yep, we were on there. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was awesome. It was pretty much a late. It's like I don't know if we got the text like 2 days before the event that was like, hey. And then we went to the Lexus Club. It was packed. There was tons of people there, all former players. We got on the bus. It was I don't know if it was like 30 former players, and then some of the managers too, which was funny. And like the managers from like the '96 team were talking shit to the current managers.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, no, that was I tell people all the time, events I've covered, I don't think I've seen anything cooler than that. I mean, it was it was crying out loud. And yeah, they're planning to, I think, put 7 sections worth of people, and ended up being 24,000, having to turn people away. So
it was surreal.
And I was wanting to ask for you. I'm glad you elaborate on that, because you've been around the program for a while now. You won a title here. You played against Louisville. You just talked about how drunk they were at the Yum Center. You've seen a lot and done a lot and experienced a lot. And then for that presser to still be like a wow moment for you, that says a lot, man, because you've seen everything that this program has, man.
Well, there's only one other time I got off a bus in Rep Arena, and that was after we won the national title. And the crowd noise was definitely comparable. It was a little louder when we won that national title, but that's because we won the national title.
Yep.
But for that to show up for a press conference is just to almost match that level of pride and intensity is awesome.
And to just see history repeating itself like that, for me, I'm old enough to. I was a senior in high school in '96 when Pope and Tony Delk and all those guys won it, and he walked off as the captain, and then that deja vu with him doing the same thing with all you guys is crazy. And
a lot of nostalgia. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, only Kentucky, man. Only Kentucky for sure. And just your perspective, man. You were there at the height, Cal, 4 Final Fours in 5 years. You were right there in the epicenter of it. So just some of your most vivid memories, some of the things that when you think back on stuff that pops to your mind first, or maybe some obscure things that you don't think about as often from that time too.
Yeah, it's still kind of just crazy to look back on, because you look at towards the end of Cal's era, how hard it is, even with talented players, to make a Final Four, even at a place like Kentucky. It's not guaranteed. And I mean, after we won the title the first year, and I could just see how our team was more prepared and just on another level than other programs. You begin to think, like, are we going to do this every year? And then next year is the NIT year, which was like a total just opposite feel of the year before. And when Nerlens got hurt, and just a tough year. And then so you kind of realize that this is going to be a rocky road. And then you go in the next year, we have the twins come in and Julius Randle and that top recruiting class. And we suck for pretty much up until the tournament. Like we suck. So like it was like, oh no, this isn't the 2 years straight. We're going in the wrong direction here. And then guys just rallied, and that was pretty incredible. And then we carried that momentum right into the next year. Definitely think about the loss to Wisconsin a lot. But to get one national title and 2 Final Fours, it's like, in a perfect regular season, it's all you can ask for. And also have a year where you hit adversity, where things don't go the way, it was, wouldn't have had it any other way.
And like you said, your words, you sucked in 2014. You couldn't buy a win on the road, man, until you got it, until it clicked late, just coming up short, just something what happened in all those road games. It just couldn't get it going. It was crazy.
And just, with every one of those games, those tournament games, like, your anxiety is through the roof, like, because the year after that, it was like, when we lost, we were shocked, but we were like, we know we're going to win every game. Just guys definitely believed, but at the same time, like, being on the bench and watching that, and like going back and forth, and every single game was lead change after lead change. Like, that was a feeling I only had during that run in the whole my years there. Was just like you can hear a pin drop in between plays, with how quiet and then how crazy fans would go. There was something special about that year, that it was just like every game we were just holding on by a thread.
Got something else, AG? Seems like I keep cutting you off every time.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
Just too excited, man. I'm not letting you get in there. But so you're Friday the 19th, TBT. It's finally here. It seemed like it was so long ago, and now it's really literally about to happen. You guys have been grinding. I submitted a question, I think, because I wasn't able to watch the Zoom, but you kind of letting Tyler do his thing as far as coaching. Team hasn't been together very long, but who is becoming a reflection of the head coach the most from the short time they've been together in the practices and all that?
Well, yeah, they actually get here on Friday, so 2 days from now. So they'll all land Friday. And that first weekend, we have some charity events, a charity alumni game. Where like, I'll play, and guys that don't play basketball anymore, or just kind of retired, like Darius Miller, will play, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Then after that, we have a party at the Manchester rooftop. Sunday we have Willie's golf scramble in the morning, and then Sunday night we have our first team meeting. So that's it's going to be interesting, for sure. I mean, I think it's huge for Tyler. I think the experience, regardless of what happens, the outcome is going to be huge for it. But then also, if he wins it, if we win it, it's going to put him on the map as a head coach. So I think that, people are going to be taking it very seriously. This is in many ways what TBT, the organization itself, says is that a lot of these guys are trying out for their next job somewhere. So we're going to have a lot of fun, but also, really lock in.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I guess I should ask, who do you see reflecting him?
Who do I see
most?
I
asked that wrong. My bad.
I think it's an interesting dynamic with Tyler and the twins having played together, and they're friends. But I'm interested to see how that goes as far as just kind of two peers playing. One coaching, one playing. I guess you're starting to see that in the NBA with like JJ Redick.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see. I'm sure Tyler has some great sets and stuff, but getting these guys motivated and when we were in school, we had to have coaches tell us, all right, stop messing around in practice, lock in and stop, but now all these guys have been professionals for a long time. So it will be interesting to see how that professionalism translates into kind of a, wow, you've changed. Even though these guys, they were focused in practice, but like just to see that next level of kind of being able to execute.
And that's why I kind of wanted to ask it. Maybe it seems maybe like a weird question to ask, because these guys are established and quote unquote set in their ways as players. They're grown men now. They've been doing things in a certain system or various different systems for a while. But once the coaching and practice starts, like you stated, Tyler is the coach. Y'all are gonna let him rock. So it's his squad, and we know how he was as a leader. I'll never forget in the huddle where he popped Scal Labissiere in his chest because Scal wasn't really bringing it like he should have been, and Tyler didn't care that he was 7 foot, and it didn't matter. So it's just interesting to see. It won't be a lot of time together, but maybe who does he rub off on the most just as a head coach in his position? I think, like you said, it will be interesting.
The funny thing about when Tyler was playing, even in the NBA too, it's like he's always pointing everywhere on the court. He's always pointing to something somewhere. When he's off the ball, he's trying to, he sees somebody open, he'll tell the person with the ball, send it that way. So just kind of a testament to, his feel for the game.
Definitely. I got to ask you, the run you were here for, all the players you play with that have come through, insane. So if you had to pick just the most impressive play in a game from a teammate and in practice from a teammate during your time at Kentucky, what would you pick?
I definitely think, the Harrison shots, Aaron's shots. That's just above everything else. As far as like the best play in practice, I think it was when the NBA guys came in during the lockout year to play pickup with us. There wasn't a specific play, but it was just like, to see LeBron go up and down the court at Kentucky, but also to see AD and like guys like Darius Miller, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and Terrence Jones and Marcus Teague holding their own and beating these guys in pickup games. That was crazy. So that's probably the top stuff. As far as a specific practice play, it's hard to put a finger on it. We had like a helmet. I don't know if we stopped doing it, but definitely first year we did it.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
If you got dunked on, you had to wear the helmet out of practice at the end of practice. So that helmet was going around every single practice.
So I got to flip it to the other side. We hate to had to give credit to the opponent, but the teams and players you were playing against were good as well. So the most impressive play you saw from an opponent to where it sucked, but you got to tip your cap because hey, that was a great play. If
definitely the Christian Watford shot,
Yeah.
for sure. Just, I mean, it was one of those like gymnasiums where it's like you don't even feel safe when you walked in there because it goes straight up the sides, and it was just a madhouse and kind of getting trampled after. I didn't fall down, but it was just like, getting trampled after they stormed the court. That was definitely the craziest play for sure.
Mm.
Do you find it crazy they still talk about it so much, given what happened just a couple months later?
Like it was yesterday. They talk about it like it was yesterday.
I mean, when you got nothing else to talk about, it was. It was. Yeah, I mean, when people say what is the craziest game you've ever been a part of? That was the craziest game I've ever been a part of. Even though we lost, it was crazy.
And then, like you said, you got that payback just a few weeks later. How? I mean, you're locked in anyway. But how much more did that ramping up? That it was them, and it was
I think it gave us a lot of energy throughout the rest of the season, but then we lost the SEC championship to Vanderbilt, who had a really good, which nobody remembers.
Nope.
But but it was funny. Like no one was really concerned after either. But that just gave us a little bit of a refresh, some cold water on the face to just dominate in the tournament.
Yeah. So being from Boston, are you Boston through and through? Celtics, Patriots, Red Sox, the whole Bruins.
Yeah. I'm a big Celtics fan. I've been going to games forever. That's kind of where my first love of basketball was where my dad showed me Larry Bird tapes. And then I know a lot of people in the organization as well. People on the business marketing side and scouts and Brian Scalabrine and the Ainges, and just I got to play pickup at the Celtics facility. Right before when I had kids through my first son 3 years ago, I stopped playing, but I would play a lot, and we'd have these runs at the Celtics practice facility. It was just so awesome, to still be 28, 29 and getting to play in a gym like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you had 08 in your lifetime, that title, and then just a couple of weeks ago. So the millions of titles they won prior to all of us being alive, and now you've got 2 in your lifetime from them, and then Boston was winning everything basically as in your childhood. So
everything. Yeah,
they still are to an extent here.
in high school, there used to be a way to sneak into the Boston Garden for games. So we used to go to Boston Garden and sneak in with 10 of our friends and find a place to sit or just stand. And so we were at the game the year they won it. So that was pretty amazing. But yeah, a lot of championships. And then I won a national. I got hurt halfway through the year, but my prep school team won a national prep championship as well. Yeah. So got to live through and experience some cool championships.
And look, Aaron, I hate to bring this up, but I was going through old 30 for 30s, and I watched that 4 days in October
I'm in New York.
That was in elementary school then, I think.
Same here.
Yeah, so
that was crazy.
That 3-0 deficit, but yeah, that was unbelievable. Did you play everything growing up? Hockey, football, basketball, or just?
I played football. I do backyard sports, but just pretty much just played basketball. Starting, I stopped playing other sports around 7th grade. And then just really just love basketball. And actually my love for basketball came from, knowing the Caliparis, and my dad got to know him when he was at UMass. And so I grew up around Brad and going to their house. And then, every year I'd beg my parents, can you send me to Memphis camp or New Jersey? And went there every year. And then I had great freshman, sophomore year of high school. And I had 2 knee surgeries back to back. And by the end and then I had a third in high school, and I didn't know where I was going to go. Because most of the kind of the lower mid-major places where I would have considered, kind of dried up. And so Cal said, just walk on here. And I didn't even think twice about it.
Man, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, man, it's just been cool to meet you, to chop it up with you, to hear your experiences, your perspective on coming from Boston down to Kentucky. Now you've put the roster together for the TBT U20, and looking forward to seeing the product y'all have put together coming up on the 19th. So, man, just congratulations on being a boy dad and a girl dad. You got little ones running around now, so that's crazy to think. Hey, man, 2012, you just win the title, but now Sam Malone, grown man with 2 kids, man. That's hey. But good luck with that, and being a dad too, a new dad, and just wish you all the best with the tournament. And thank you so much for taking time to hop on here with us, man. You might have known Aaron or read his work, didn't have a clue who I was, but appreciate you hopping on here and chopping it up with us, man. It's been a lot of fun, Sam.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a blast, and thank you for helping us get the word out there with TBT. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's crazy. It's here already, like you said. Yeah. Like, it's kind of snuck up on us, and it's going to happen fast too, because we don't get a lot of time together, and so we're going to soak up every minute of it. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and go Cats.
Anytime,
Cats,
appreciate
man.
it.
Love to get you on again sometime when you get a little time to catch your breath down the road too, man.
Yeah, would love to.
Thanks a lot, Sam.
All right.
Appreciate it, man.
You got it.
Sam Malone, former Cat, NCAA champ, here for the peak of the Cal years, man. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. The best of the outside of, like you said, the NIT year, which obviously stunk. Maybe arguably the 3 best: national championship game, Final Four, undefeated regular season. So can't do much better than that.
No, you really can't. You really can't. So now him and 20 Beckham got the eye for talent, got the roster to put together. I mean, the Harrison twins, you got shooting.
Yeah.
You got Deron Lamb, you got James Young, Reed Travis, Daniel Orton, you got big bruiser guys. Enos's brother is a big bruiser type too. So they got, a lot of different ways they can play. If they want to run, they want to bang. Looks like they got guys that can do, all of the above. So they put together a squad. And without the former Cats that have come through and are back to play, you're going to have talent and going to have a squad, and just a matter if they want to do it or not. And they got quite a few guys back in to make a nice roster.
No doubt. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of nostalgia. I like how Sam put it about and it was kind of how I put it too in a story last week, but to hear a former player say, putting a bow in a way on the Cal era, just kind of one last hurrah in a way. I think it's a really cool thing, and it's a way to, like he said, connect these 2 new generations of Kentucky basketball. So it's going to be a really cool event. I'm curious to see exactly what the turnout is, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty darn good, because there are a lot of, like you said, the Harrison twins, Reed Travis, those guys are fan favorites. Eric Bledsoe, all down the roster. There are a ton of Nate Sestina. I mean, there are a ton of guys. The fans love it. Pretty much everybody. But you're talking about some Willie. Oh yeah. I mean, you're talking about some legit big time fan favorites. So it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, and Tyler coaching. I mean, he's loved.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely. He's going to Arkansas, and they're not even mad at him. That should tell you. That says a lot, because
they're just like, oh, he's just furthering his career. He has to do it.
They're mad at Brad Calipari for going to Arkansas. So
yeah, so looking forward to seeing the TBT. In the past, it's something I've. There's been years where I've watched it a little more than others. And there's years where I just casually kind of, okay, that's cool. Something in the summertime is, just to have on. But, we'll all be locked into this one with
no doubt
putting the team in. So
yeah, it's a lot different.
Yeah. So man, you got yourself refreshed from your vacation, heading down to Big D for media day and talking season, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Kentucky goes Thursday, right?
Yeah, they're not till the last day. They're not till the last day, but I'll be there all 4. And obviously, it's the start of the new SEC, right? No more divisional play in football. Texas, Oklahoma. That's why they're doing it down in Dallas. And there's going to be plenty of storylines, obviously, to follow. I think just the whole expansion thing, just how this sport is ever changing. It's going to be at the same time when EA Sports releases the game. So there's going to be a ton going on down there this year. I think it might be this is going to be my 3rd media days, just the last 2 years. And now this one, I think it's probably going to be the most eventful. I think it's going to be there's going to be a lot that I think comes out of it. A lot of fun talking points and a lot of interesting things. And I'll try to come up with some unique angles on stories from some of the other teams' guys. There's obviously, it's not just Kentucky plays you, what do you think's going to happen? But there, there's some connections here. You talk about some of the Georgia guys who know Carson Beck and Jamin Dumas-Johnson well. You talk about the Tennessee guys who definitely know Gerald Mincy and what Gerald Mincy said back in February or January, whenever that was. And talk about, Jackson Dart, one of his first big starts was against Kentucky a couple of years ago. He'll get to play him again. So, there's a lot of storylines connecting Kentucky that I'll try to work on, but also more so just taking it all in. And then, Kentucky will get there Thursday. And Deion Walker, not surprised he's going to be there at all. Top 10 projected pick, going to be, unless something goes horribly wrong, his last year at Kentucky. He's a leader in that locker room, no doubt about it. And then Marcus Cox who's also established himself as a leader, 7th-year guy. And who's the 3rd one? De'Aaron Jackson, who I'm interested to see if this kind of gets him out of his shell a little bit, because he doesn't say all that much. He's very polite. Like, that's not saying that in a negative light. I mean, he's polite. He answers all the questions. He doesn't ignore you. He's, a great kid, but he is a keep to himself, quiet guy. So sometimes media days does bring out some personality that we haven't seen before, and for the better. I mean, I remember last year, everyone's like, Brock Bowers says more than one sentence, like, you're winning, because that's a guy who just doesn't say anything. And I thought he gave some pretty good answers and was pretty thoughtful down there. So it's going to be interesting to see that one. So I'm excited. This is one of my favorite events each year, and we'll be there covering it starting on Monday morning.
So who was more quiet and in the shell in your experience, Derek Jackson or Casey Wallace?
Man, probably Derek, honestly. I mean, Kaysen. I think Kaysen, it was interesting where I thought he said he was more of a talker early in the year, and then when things started to go bad, he said less and less, and probably, didn't want to say the wrong thing, whatever. I don't know what it was, but I actually thought he was one of the better interviews on the team early in the season, and then it just dwindled away. But, the guy who said the lead, and again, this is not to knock on these guys, there's a certain Kentucky basketball, especially, like, the media it's crazy. It's not quite New York, but it's like the New York of like college media is Kentucky basketball. And, football, I think football, I wouldn't say less coverage, but it's not, the pressure isn't what it is on the basketball side. So you usually get some more from those guys. For the most part, they want to get their names out there. But on the basketball side, their names are going to be out there no matter what. They're Kentucky. So the one guy who you could not get anything out of was E.J. Montgomery. That was the guy. And you might have been around him a little bit, because that was still when, your site over there with Cam Mills was going. I mean, if you get a sentence out of him, it's a win. That was probably the most quiet, mild-mannered guy I've been around. I would say he's up there. Justin Edwards is there to an extent. I mean, there were some times you were able to get a breakthrough with him, but, he didn't say much. But yeah, EJ Montgomery tops the cake for me by a mile of hardest one to get a quote out of.
Leader in the clubhouse. Got Joseph on YouTube. I feel like as fans, we've always talked about what if some dude stayed another year, or putting together an All-Star UK
Yeah,
team.
that's
I
right.
love all these guys coming back. Yeah, I get to see them all again, and
No doubt.
all these. You thought some of them played together, and they didn't. They just missed playing with each other, and now they get to play together. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to see that for sure.
No doubt.
You mentioned everything going on in Dallas, and are you a video game guy yourself? Are you a big gamer?
I'm really just a sports video game guy, so I'm obviously
Same.
very, very excited for the release, though I won't be home for it, so I won't get to play till Friday at the earliest. But yeah, no, I MLB The Show, Madden and NBA are really the only 3 games I play for the most part. So excited to add this one to the mix, and yeah, I'll get on it as soon as I get home Friday. I have it pre-ordered and everything. So, and again, I wonder how I'm sure there's going to be corny question galore about the video game. Is your overall blah blah blah? You're going to get some of that crap down there in Dallas, and that's okay. But I'm curious to see, if they have like a station where they have guys play it, just to see what there's always content creation being made by the SEC while they're down there. They do those photo shoots or whatever. So I do wonder if they incorporate some of that. It is literally Monday is the first release day, and media day starts Monday. So curious to see how much of a talk. I'm sure it's going to be a talking point ad nauseum, but I'm interested to see if they have anything unique up their sleeve when it comes to that. But either way, it'll definitely be a big talking point down there. Bigger than it should probably, but that's okay.
Well, it's summertime, might as well.
Yeah.
Nothing going on, no games yet, no camp. UK football tweeted out, Max Harrison is a 91 overall and Deion Walker is a 93 overall. So we got 2 Kentucky players in the, top 100, as far as, awareness, speed, strength, and all those attributes that you see. Even NFL dudes are still upset when Madden comes out. Certain guys were like, oh, I should have been higher here or there. But like Deion Walker's big as he is, I looked at it. I think his acceleration or something was still in the 70s. Big as he is, man. To be that big, and so that the game got a lot of his stuff right, in my opinion. Now, he might disagree, but but to see him and Max both over 90 is cool based off of what they did last year and the careers they've had, man.
No doubt. Yeah, I think those are 2. Obviously, Deion is, for my money, I'd have to do, I guess, more research, but if not the best interior defensive tackle in the country, top 3. And then Max, you just forget how good he was last year, because the secondary did struggle as a whole. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the pass defense was ranked in the 90s in the country. Acceptable, but Max was, his side of the field, man. It was locked down. He's one of the highest. Not just, obviously, we know what he did with the interceptions. I think it finished with 5. Had the 2 pick sixes in the same game, which I don't know if that had ever been done before. I think it hadn't in Kentucky history, so that's just crazy. But you look at PFF and his numbers, yards allowed, like low. Like he's just a guy who didn't give up that many catches or big plays. And that is really impressive. And he's a guy that I think maybe nationally isn't talked about much, but he is, I mean, you got to think, put in perspective, like this guy was a mid 3-star guy. He wasn't a high recruit. He redshirted his true freshman year in 21-22. He played sparingly, and you remember he comes in when Carrington Valentine gets hurt against Vanderbilt, are just banged up, and Mark Stoops could have called a timeout to get Valentine. It was 4th and 11, could have called timeout, and that would have allowed Valentine to come back on the field, and he doesn't, and Vanderbilt completes a big play on his head, and I don't think he played much at all the rest of the year. I know Carrington skipped the bowl game, so that Iowa bowl game's a blur, let's be honest, that Music City Bowl. So I don't remember how much or how little Max played in that game because Carrington sat. But, like, to come back the next year and dominate, and not let that shake your confidence, and where I'm sure it might have in the short term. I mean, what he did last year was tremendous. So it's cool to see him get rewarded. And, as a junior this year, a big year is going to put him in the league. So, really, really good to see that. That's pretty cool. I saw he tweeted that he was pretty happy with that rating. So I was a little surprised he's not going to be making the trip to Dallas, but he does have another year, and maybe that's the guy who comes next year if he's back in college. But
Mm-hmm.
cool stuff nonetheless.
Absolutely. Mike Gundy making a lot of ripples with his latest thing, with the trying to condone a DUI. Was he trying to just kind of
I think
blur
he was
it away?
I don't know what. I think he, it's a tricky one, right? I don't think there was an intention to make light of DUI. I mean, he's every time you see a DUI, it's whatever, low bail, it's a misdemeanor, blah, blah, blah. But you're putting people's lives at risk. It's very, very serious. He's lucky no one got hurt or killed. And I don't think Mike Gundy is shallow enough to make a joke of it. I think he was more so, Ollie Gordon's maybe the best running back in the country. Like, that's a superstar running back. So I think he was trying to be like, oh, he's not suspended. If anything, we're going to give him the ball more because he's like such a good player. I don't think that crossed his mind, but it just came off as insensitive and just not thinking the whole picture, not taking everything into account, like what people have been through with DUIs. And I don't have a personal connection family-wise, thank God, but I definitely know people that do, and it's horrible. It ruins lives. So I think it was just an insensitive, unfortunate comment. I don't think he went up to the podium or wherever that question was asked and was like, let's go make a DUI joke. But it was unfortunate, to say the least, and he's gotten some flack, and deservingly so.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So So that was the highlight of Big 12 Media Day so far. You got us waiting for next week for SEC, like you said. Had some commitments, quite a few commitments happen, football wise, baseball wise, a lot of stuff happening in the portal and roster construction wise for Stoops and Mingione right now.
Yeah, I think the football team's had a pretty darn good summer, and something we'll talk more about it next week after, or I guess actually Kentucky won't be at the podium yet, so it'll be a good kind of segue into their podium day. But I think Kentucky has had their off season's kind of gone exactly how they want it, where with Pope coming in, they're not talked about. Like, even you could say to an extent, baseball has gotten more coverage because they were in the College World Series, and for like a month or so, women's basketball was getting a ton with Kenny Brooks and the excitement there. So football has kind of been able to go to work and kind of do things quietly, right? And that's obviously how Mark Stoops has always liked it. They've had their best years when they're not talked about much. And you remember the hype going into the 2022 season when they were picked to finish second in the SEC East and finished third in the conference. Like, that got to them, and they admitted it. Like, when I was talking to Eli Cox at Media Days last year, like, they admitted it's impossible to kind of tune that noise out. So I think they've kind of had that going for them. And then the second part of it is they've had a really good high school recruiting summer. I mean, they've gotten feels like 7 or 8 guys in the last 3 or 4 weeks here. I know they just had a couple 4-stars in the last 2 weeks, obviously keeping Campbell home from Frankfurt, another crazy Western Hills guy. Sexton Works, a high 4-star, top 100 recruit, edge rusher. So, they've had a really good summer. They got the kid from Paducah about a month or so ago, Martellus Carter. Like, they're still kicking butt in the state of Kentucky. And, I think there's a lot of shade thrown at Louisville. Louisville's approaching it different. We'll see if it works, right? They're approaching it more portal heavy. Kentucky's still a high school program first. I think they'll supplement, I think, as they need in the portal, and they've definitely proven they'll use the portal too. But I still think their bread and butter is going to be high school recruiting. And right now, the state of Kentucky is producing some pretty darn good players, and they're going out and getting them. So it's been. I think they're having a really good offseason. I don't know how that's going to manifest itself or how it's going to affect this coming football season, which is the more important, obviously, is the results on the field. But I do think they've kind of had an ideal offseason. They're recruiting well. The noise is quiet. They're just going to work, putting their heads down, and we'll see how that goes. And then, to touch real quick on the second thing you said there with baseball, I think last week was a really tough blow with Nick Amorati, the hitting coach, going to Georgia. I mean, his contract was up. There is the connection there with Will Cognan, the former UK recruiting coordinator, who left for Georgia this time last year. So was it a stunning thing? Probably not, but it's still a blow. And then, I kind of had a feeling, I didn't want to put it out there because you don't want to be wrong or speak for a kid, but when we were down in Omaha after they lost to Florida, Nolan McCarthy, all he talked about for like a minute straight in the press conference at the end there was about Nick Amorati. And when he was asked, why do you think Kentucky is going to maintain what they've got? He wanted to talk all about Nick Amorati. And so as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, shoot, like Nolan McCarthy's, I don't know about that. And then 2 days later, he's in the portal. And that's a tough blow because he's a great kid. First of all, he's infectious personality. He's a leader in that locker room. He's been around during the dark times, during the good, and you would have been a senior, would have been your starting center fielder, guy up the middle, really important position, and you lose him. So that sucks for sure. I think they've done a good job otherwise of keeping big names out of the portal, but now, you're replacing 7 out of 9 everyday starters, assuming, Emilian Petrie is basically a lock to sign. He's going to be a 3rd or 4th round pick at the latest. So you're probably going to lose everyone except for Devin Burks at this rate, who, they did sign it or bring in a catcher out of the portal. There's a couple more days before it closes. So I guess that's still plausible. And then James McCoy, who was obviously very much up and down at the plate last year. Those are the only 2 guys slated to return as of right now. So there's a lot of work to do. They have 15 transfer portal commits. It's going to be a very, very, very different looking roster, but they're doing what they have to do in the portal. Overall, I think it's been a fine offseason. I think they've done a good job supplementing. They've obviously, like I said, 15 is a big number. There's some really good players in that group, but it's going to be hard to duplicate what they did last year when you lose 7 out of 9 starters. That's just, it doesn't. You could tell Tennessee got to do that, and it'll still be a challenge for them. So, we'll see how it goes.
I was talking to Derek Terry earlier, and he was talking about McCarthy and just the fact that everybody he came in with was gone. He would be here.
That's right. It would just be him and Devin Burks, really.
Yeah. So that maybe played a role. And you mentioned, Amorati is his dude. So
as soon as that was a kick. That was a kick to the teeth a little bit, losing Amorati. I just think we'll see. Hopefully, I don't think they've made a hire yet, so we'll see who the replacement for Coach Amo is. I'm sure they'll get a quality coach there. I think the last couple of years, especially Nick Mingione's done a really good job filling out his really since day one. You think Ronald Fanning's the head coach now at Austin Peay. So he's done a pretty good job assembling staffs. So I'm sure they'll get a quality replacement, but that's a guy the players absolutely love. He's kind of the one who's the architect behind that, hitters meeting thing they do where they'll call a batter's timeout, which is, you don't see that often, right? You think of mound visits as your timeout, but Kentucky, will take these offensive timeouts and kind of game plan, put on a hit and run, put on a bunt, whatever they're going to do. Just give the hitter who's up a deep breath, whatever it might be. So it is a blow, no doubt about it. But you got to trust that Mings will find the right guy to take the job to take that job because he's done it before. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And just going back to Javion Campbell out of Western Hills, I talked about it a little bit last week after I had LaShar Binkley on to talk about the Rockets because, Reed Shepherd and all that. But after we finished up, just the fact that, Campbell just shows up and just dominates after never playing football and to get all the offers he had and for Kentucky to beat out everybody else that was trying to get him, but to just still be learning. To be, you hate to say raw, but raw and just new and green and, figuring it all out to just not be on any radar because he hadn't played the game and then show up and get yourself an offer in football is ridiculous, man.
Yeah, really cool story.
Yeah.
No, that'll be a fun one to follow for sure. And again, they've done I think they've had an excellent summer recruiting, and I think they've kind of had things go as they've wanted to go. Again, the pressure has kind of been off. They've had a tough couple of years, but the pressure with all the attention on basketball, and on baseball there for a while, and on even women's basketball. I think it's been a good little reset for them. Excited to see what they have to say down in Dallas next week.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to. You always have those good angles and get to interact and get some questions with, potential opponents or just other guys throughout the league, whether Kentucky plays them or not. So always looking forward to that and be in Dallas this time. And just to, Texas A&M been in the conference all these years, and they've never been a media day in Texas at all. And now their rival comes in.
The rival comes in. Hey, let's do it in Big D. So yeah, it'll be different for sure. First time I have to hop on a plane for media days, right? It's been Atlanta, it's been Nashville in the past. Before I started going, it was in Birmingham. So usually a pretty easy trip from Lexington, but we'll fly down there and we'll see what we can do content wise, but more so taking it all in. Always good networking for us journos out there, as they like to call us. So it's gonna be a good time. Like I said, I know some people don't love these media days. I love them. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm into it. I don't know. But I look forward to getting down there on Sunday and getting to work on Monday.
Yeah. Well, safe travels, man.
Appreciate it, man.
We'll be looking forward to all the content and looking forward to any potential sound bites anybody wants to intentionally or unintentionally give.
Martez Manuel, my first day at Media Days ever, gifted that one. So I don't know if it'll ever top that, but
we hate Kentucky.
We hate that awesome.
Blue and white.
That was freaking awesome. They finally got their revenge, or whatever they want to call it, last year. So but no, regardless, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Absolutely. Well, for Aaron, this is Vinny Hardy. Thanks again to Sam Malone for coming on and talking about TBT and LaFamilia and his time at Kentucky. If you're able to get to Rupp, go to Rupp and watch.
Yeah,
if not, we'll definitely watch on TV when they play next Friday. But appreciate everybody that watches us live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube every week. Get the audio on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you listen. Subscribe and follow. Give 5 stars in the star rankings if you'd like. We'd appreciate all of that. And we'll be back next week talking media days and looking forward to Kentucky talking a week from tomorrow. So we'll wrap this one up for now. See everybody next week on another episode of Believe in Kentucky on the Believe Podcast Network.